right, I'll put some.
See, I talk about that in my book as well. It's like, even in churches, I experienced so much rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Even
I remember that too.
No, because that's why, like, cause you wonder why Lisa, why is it? They won't let me. They try to stop my gift.
Yep, I remember that. So, and I remember you said that when I was like, why would they not have you up there singing? That was the first thing you said.
Because I'm not into being into clicks.
Yeah.
Kissing people's butts. So.
Yeah. All right. So let's do a trial run. It doesn't have to be any, no perfect way about it, but I want you to just do a trial run with introducing yourself or not. You can always start off by saying, you can start by saying, I'm Elisa Tyler, and today I'm going to talk to you about that some of you will call me the businesswoman worshiper, right? You can go there. Today I want to talk to you about the businesswoman worshiper. Yeah, my name is Elisa Tyler, but that's not the name that you have known me by the end of this time. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways you can open up. It's no one particular way or the other. So my point is that I want you to try this out and just go through slow as you want to, fast as you want to, just talk about what comes up when you see the pain and when you're talking about the businesswoman worshiper. You don't have to do the singing part this particular time. We'll infuse it. I just want to hear what naturally comes out, and we can frame out what comes out. Mm-hmm. So this is the topic, the businesswoman. Worshiper.
Is there something to log into Wi-Fi or no?
It should be a one on there for TWC, like a Time Warner cable.
I have requests or something. They told me that it's hard, the reception in here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm already, okay, well, I thought it said it's saying sign in to hear the song.
Mm-hmm.
Lady out there, she told me the receptionist.
Yeah, it's on there. It's on network. See, disconnect from network.
Older.
Back in. That's Bluetooth. That's on.
If it doesn't, it's okay. I've got one to record myself.
I'm recording. I sent it to you.
It's all right.
Yeah, but I have it recorded anyway, so I'll send that to you.
Okay. So you want me to talk about the pain, the struggle, the victory?
Yep. And you can walk through it, because we'll do it a couple times, but you can walk through it. And I can ask you a couple questions to at least inspire the first. I'll ask you some questions to help you inspire the first answers. And then you just tell them back to me, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. So, walking up. Okay. So act
All
like
right.
I'm doing it. First I do, oh, you got me at for a tape. Okay.
So.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Awesome.
Great. Okay, we're gonna have one, two, okay. I'm Elisa Tyler, but you know what? Tonight I am not going to. You're not going to hear as much about just Elisa Tyler. You're going to hear tonight about the businesswoman and the worshiper, because that's exactly who I am. You know, some of you may look at me, well, no, not that. But
And then imagine this whole space is the audience, so you don't have to go and let this just record it, but you could just float and talk to the different people in the room. You know what I mean?
okay.
Yeah, matter of fact, I'll sit over here. That way. Yeah.
Start back over.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How's everybody doing this evening? Great. I'm Elisa Tyler, but you know what? Tonight, you're going to learn about the businesswoman and the worshiper. Because you know what? That's exactly who I am. That's exactly who I who I am. You know, I want to first just kind of start off. How many of you ladies out there can relate to going through a situation in your life where you just made all type of different you know, bad decisions, or you know, or you saw yourself, you know, trying to climb out of something and you find yourself stuck? Have you ever been stuck? You know what? That's what happened to me. You know, I found myself, you know, at an early age. I found myself as a single mom at 19. I then thought I had, you know, figured, okay, now my life is changing. I met Prince Charming, got married, you know, living a, you know, nice lifestyle, very comfortable. You know, and then, you know, I started to progress, you know, in my career, and as I started to progress in my career, you know, things started to change at home. How you can relate to, you know, having someone in your life that, you know, you thought they were the best thing for you, thought they were your knight in shining armor, but and the more you start to try to, you know, better yourself and go higher, you know, things start to change and you find yourself no longer that compatible. Can any of you all relate on that? Well, see, that's what happened to me, you know, and that experience took me through a, you know, very traumatic, you know, divorce, as well as bankruptcy. And you know, that was a very, very bad experience for me, where I actually found myself just so caught up in work, so caught up in burying myself in doing so much at work. I became a workaholic to try to cover up for the pain. I basically used the pain I was going through. I used work basically as a stress relieving behavior. That's what my pain became. It became a stress. My workaholic things that I did, it was because I was trying to have a stress relieving behavior. And from that, it also resulted in my lack of confidence. Most people that know, they're like, oh wow, Lisa, you broke records in this company, you did this, you did that. Surely you're not confident. But you know what, when you're, you know, trying to do things and you have a voice in your ear and, you know, someone's telling you what you can't do or you need them for this or that, you know, it can really take a toll on your confidence. And so that's what happened to me. But you know what? It didn't stop there. Like I said, that was just some of my pain I shared with you. But then, you know, I shifted into the other part of my journey was the struggle. Let me tell you about my struggle. My struggle, as I mentioned to you, I became such a workaholic. Wasn't getting much sleep, working 12-hour days. I'm telling you, I was that businesswoman. I was on that grind. I was about making that money, you know, stuff like that, you know. But basically, you know, I didn't realize that it wasn't about just the money. It was about me discovering who I was. So first I started off with all the pain I told you about, then I went through the struggle, and that struggle led me to realize that through all of that, it was just a cover-up. How many of you have lost your identity before and forgot who you were? Well, that's what happened to me. I was so busy trying to be everything to everybody, do everything that everybody expected of me, and I lost myself. I forgot who I was. I began to experience all type of different emotions. But out of all that, then it led to the victory. And the victory came when I had my one-on-one FaceTime encounter with God. Now what I mean by FaceTime, I'm not just referring to pick up your iPhone and you know how we FaceTime people. You all do that. I know I see some iPhones in here today. You know, but I'm talking about having an encounter with God. where I was actually drawn into His presence, where I actually saw my life flash in front of me. I saw myself from on my deathbed to now, having this FaceTime encounter with Him. And during that FaceTime encounter with God, what it did, it showed me my life. It showed me out of all the successful records and things I broke in business and all that, it showed me that all that stuff means nothing if you don't have your health. And during that struggle of me in the hospital, almost losing my life, it let me really start to reflect on what's most important. And what's most important is our health and walking in purpose. And my book here, just to give my book a plug, I know I can do better. FaceTime, My Encounter with Him. In this book, I share with you my pain, my struggle, but today I stand before you in victory, okay? And you know where my victory came from? My victory came from nights of me laying there on my deathbed. You know where I found my saving grace? It was in my worship. It was just losing myself in worship, and I began to just sing songs like this. And that's where I began to find my strength, my peace, my joy, and it let me understand that basically only what I do for God will last. It let me understand that that's great, all the accolades, all the things I had achieved, but you know what? Being out of purpose and not being right positioned, where and not walking in the person that God created me to be, that's the most important thing. And if I had never had that FaceTime encounter, first it was an encounter with death, then it was an encounter to show me, who I had become. I had become someone that I didn't even recognize myself anymore. But see, all that goes back. I was so busy in that grind, trying to hide under something that I was and someone that I was not. But FaceTime, having that one-on-one, up close time, spending time in God's face, that's where you'll discover who you are. That's where you get wisdom, knowledge about every aspect. Who should I date? Who should I not date? What career should I take? What career should I not? Where should I move? FaceTime.
All right, great job, great job. No, that's good. That's perfect. Now, Sandra, we're gonna run it right back. Now, I like it. You went through. I love the energy. Because the energy was like, when you see your original one versus that one, the energy automatically went up.
It's just me trying to I just got to remember.
Well, no, we're gonna frame it. That's the first time, so it's not
I'm
even.
just trying to remember the different aspects.
Yeah, I'm about to actually write it differently up there. So
and then I get all emotional.
Yeah, and that's cool too though, because the emotion will resonate with the emotion in the room. So that's not bad. That's actually, remember I said when emotions are up, intellect is down, and that's a good thing. So, okay. Stand over by it.
Stand by it.
Yeah. Actually, at least I have something else. Okay, so here, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna write this where you can see it, and we're gonna frame out the story, and then we're gonna practice directly off the board. So I think that's great as you using the board, because that'll allow for.
Well, the board was help me to stay focused.
Exactly, which is fine, because
and to
that's how we can
remember,
practice it.
but still it was a matter of me trying to remember, okay, what part should I be talking about under pain?
Nope, I got it, and I had wrote in my little chicken scratch. So what we're gonna do is.
And I know my intro definitely has got to be stronger. That was so weak. And I get it. I just got to think of how to start.
I got you. You're fine. You did great.
Instead of the same thing.
You did way stronger than even that first day. So I'm telling you out the game. I mean, the time we did over there. So.
I thought I had a little more confidence the first time I did it, we were just in a room?
No, you have more confidence this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is like 50% more than you did.
Okay.
50% more. You were more focused, you know where you were at.
And what I gotta do, I just gotta relax and just tell my story. It's my story, just relax and tell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had like the most freedom singing when I used to sing over at the show location at the Word.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like when Elder Morris was over it, Beverly and different ones, like they used to let me just freestyle, cause I'm a freestyle, like I flow prophetically when I sing.
Mm-hmm.
And like I can create songs, just music, it's like I hear music and then lyrics come.
Mm-hmm.
And they used
That's
to
what's up.
they used to let me flow like that over there versus like when I'm put in a box, that's not good for me.
Got it.
Because they used to give me purpose songs that were like men's songs and all the songs that didn't even fit my voice.
Right.
And now author. I've always been the business woman. I believe in handling my business. Yeah, because see, I was in survivor mode. It's like I was in survivor mode after, having a child at 19. And then I got out of survivor mode because I married Prince Charming. He had a 6-figure income, this and that. And I was, life was just so more relaxed, this and that. But then I was with somebody that was negative and not really a part of my purpose. It's not really helping to. Then it's like I went back into survivor mode. Then it was like, okay, this is not gonna work out, so you know what? I'm going back to school. I'm going to get Alicia together. Then I graduated magna cum laude with my HR and business, whatever degree. And then.
All right, perfect. So we're gonna do the first section. We're gonna do this section first. I'm gonna do it first. And on this section, which will be the intro, that'll move into the pay. So you're coming up, you're saying, good evening, everyone. My name is Alisa Tyler. I'm a mother, a financial advisor, I'm a worshiper, and now I'm an author. But I've always been a businesswoman. So today I'm going to talk to you about the businesswoman. I believe in handling my business, I've always have. I believe in handling my business in life. I take care of my business when it comes down to my legacy, my insurance, my things of that nature. I've always been that person. I've always handled my business and family. I've always cared for, my daughter, my this, my that. When I was married, I had a husband, I cared, I handled my business, whatever you unpack from that. I believe in love. The business of love is an ongoing thing. You got to always be about loving God, loving family, loving X, Y, Z. And you can play around with this later. But today I need to tell you a story how that was interrupted. And I want to tell you a story about the area of my life that things changed. See, I was a single mom growing up. I had my first daughter when I was 19. some of you can relate to that. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but I can tell you it's not the easiest thing to do. But there was a Prince Charming to come along, and some of you ladies know what it's like to come across a man that just sweeps you off your feet. He had 6-figure income. He had things that I desired internally, physically, but I had no real connection with what I needed spiritually. So at that particular time, I made a decision that would change the trajectory of my life. And before then, I was a survivor. I was out there making it happen. I was doing what I needed to do for my child. I would go and hustle. I would make things happen. I would sell things, keep things moving, blah, 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 whatever is part of that story. But then when I met him, I calmed down, I relaxed. I let him take me into his arms and take me into his life and wedded. Later, we were married, and I felt that this is where I can relax and start just handling my business of being married. But sometimes you can come across a situation that, or however you bring it about. But how many of you know that sometimes you can marry the wrong person with the right intention, right? So that's what happened to me, ladies. I got my heart broke. And if you know anything about having a heartbreak, and if you haven't, keep on living. Say, everybody's promised to have good things in life, but you're also promised to go through trying times in life. And it's how you handle those things. And even in me being a worshiper today, I wasn't always a worshiper. At some point in time, I was just building my worship, and what was a little bit in me had not fully manifested yet. So I ended up getting disappointed in that relationship. When what I loved, he didn't love. What I ended up enjoying, he didn't enjoy. What I thought was big for me, he didn't think was big. So I found out he was more negative than positive. And here when I'm trying to get myself together, trying to advance my life, he was looking toward the opposite. Or maybe, I don't know what he was going through, but at the end of the day.
I wish I was taping you. I love what you're saying.
I am taping.
Good.
Yeah. So he's going through what he's going through. And it wasn't connecting for him. And as a result, it ended up bringing us to a point of divorce. Not just divorce, ladies. I ended up having to bankrupt. After I had built up a household income, things were finally stable. Things were getting good for me and my daughter. And I trusted this man. Pause if you want to. Let it come up if it's right. I trusted him with everything. Ladies, when it was over and I did that bankruptcy, I went back to survival. I went back to being the businesswoman, right? Boom. Now, I'm going to transition out of the pain now and go into the struggle. But I don't have you come and just practice this first. But I'm going to show you how I transitioned. I went back to being the businesswoman. So now you just went back to your title. It's like, oh yeah, she did say she was a businesswoman. Ladies, I was working at Prudential. Now, the average person in there was closing XYZ. The average person was working 8 hours a day trying to get home. Ladies, I was going at 8 in the morning, leaving 9:30 at night. I wanted my money back. I wanted my life back. If that's why he was going to be and that's how life was going to be, all I knew was that I was going to work hard, harder than anybody else. I was going to get everything I wanted back. I wanted to make sure I never lost again. I wanted to make sure that bankruptcy memory was a past and I had nothing but prosperity in the future. I was selling noni juice. I was doing this. They called me the noni lady. You know what I mean? I was doing this, so I'm grinding. I'm at church 4 or 5 days a week.
Internet travel business. Yeah.
I'm in the internet travel business. So you want to unpack all the different things. Like, ladies, I was hustling. I was surviving, and I was going to make it happen. I had no interest in losing. I worked so hard. Have you ever heard someone say they worked themselves to death? Ladies, let me tell you, I literally worked myself to death. Not only did I work myself too long, too hard, to where my body collapsed on me, I almost died 4 times. You'll hear about it in my book, FaceTime, where you see that I end up collapsing my kidneys. You'll see that I end up going through stroke. You'll see that I end up having to get blood transfusions. You see this picture right here? That was a picture of a woman that worked herself so far, it went past the point her body could even withstand. Ladies, some of you out there are working too hard just because you're trying to survive for something that you categorize as failure. And you're back in survival mode because you've experienced a loss. Don't do that. I'm here to tell you, and I'm going to share with you even more in my book, FaceTime, about how this life and this transition or struggle of my life could be a blessing to yours if you've not experienced the things that I've experienced in my struggle. So then I tell you, it's a shining light. Everybody knows that if you believe in worship, and I do, right? And so when I would worship, and then sometimes when I was in my relationship, when I get down in my frustration, or somebody would just turn on music, I had this gift of being able to turn on some music. DJ Q, music, boom, come on. And any music you put on, and I would say, a word would come in my mind, and I would just sing like this word is in my mind right now. And you just go off your natural gift right there in that moment. And you just sing for about a minute. You know, whatever comes up. Boom, because we just gonna put some music on. You give us a couple different areas of what, we'll throw something on and we're gonna challenge that gift, let it come up. And then you say, boom, and you hit it, you say, then I would come down and I would get in there. And I knew this gift and this calling that's always been on my life, that I was a businesswoman, but I was a businesswoman worshiper. So those two were always trying to find themselves and lock themselves in to give me ultimate balance. But it was when I was on my deathbed that I had this FaceTime encounter with God, who he said, Elisa, I called you to worship, to handle and be about your Father's business. It was more than just work. It was more than just survival. You had a gift that a lot of people was going to come across to attack. A lot of people was going to come across to, whatever. And then you say, and that's where in my book, FaceTime, I talk about how I encountered with God, how I met my gift, how I was able to bring the two together. And that's what I want you to take away today, is that be the businesswoman you're going to be. But allow your worship, and whichever way you worship, you may not sing, you may just go to church, you may just get down on your knees and pray, but allow your worship to balance your businesswoman. My name is Elisa Tyler. I'm the businesswoman. I thank you for your time. Bam. Gone. Got it?
I like that.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right. So you don't have to, we recorded it so you can be able to play it back. Take that energy and deliver this part, and you can read off the board. But use it. Start here. This is a guide. Boom, 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 boom. But I've always been a businesswoman. I believe that, boom, and you can freestyle this, whatever you want to say in here, whatever define as handling your business. And then from there, boom. But the pain story. I'll make this even bigger so you can see it.
I can see how motivational speaking, just telling your story the right way, you just sell tons of books.
All day long. Tell them. Facts
Like,
tell, stories sell.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we learned that.
Yeah.
That part, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't know how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Have at it.
Thanks, not bad. That you doing so excellent. How's everybody doing this evening? Great. I'm Elisa Tyler. I'm a mother, financial advisor, I'm a worshiper, and now I'm an author. But I've always been the businesswoman. When I tell you I've always been a businesswoman, I'm about that hustle. Okay, I'm about that hustle. Okay, when I tell you I handle my business, I handle my business.
Not the camera. Start over and don't look at the camera at all.
Oh, don't look at the
Yeah, don't look at it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, because I want you to remember, like when I was talking to you,
You were.
and that made me connect with you and tell you my story, right? And then that'll help you to identify with who you, because you're talking to someone, just a couple different people, and you'll find in the audience another trick to speaking is when you look for a few key people in the audience,
Right.
and you lock in with them. You scan over the rest of people's heads. Try not to get locked in on somebody just staring. You go to the next person. That's and you yes, you understand what I'm saying, and you understand. You get where I'm going. Yes, I feel you. And you're looking for these people. You're not just looking at anybody. You're looking for some particular people in that audience. The rest of the people, you're going across the top of their heads.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
How's everybody doing this evening?
Great.
Good. I'm Elisa Tyler. I am a mother, I'm a financial advisor, I am a worshiper, and now an author. You know, I've always been a businesswoman. And what I mean by that, I have always, how many of you in here have been into, you know what, I'm about that, how many of you about that grind life? I feel you on that. That was me. I was a person, I was into just, look, I'm gonna handle my business. I'm gonna handle my business as it relates to my family. I'm gonna handle my business as it relates to my finances. I was just always about handling my business. Not gonna let anything or anybody distract me. If anybody got in my way, get out the way. How if you can relate to that? Was that you? Was that you? Okay. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you one thing. I believe in handling my business as it relates to my life, my family, you know, and money, and I've also been all about my business. Like, I'm that person, my personality type, I'm all in. How many of you ladies can relate? How many of you ladies consider yourself a person that you love very hard when you love somebody, don't you? Yep, that was me. I was all in. That's me, all in personality. So everything I did, I was all in. Whether it was business, family, love, that was me. But you know what? Even in doing all of that, okay, I found myself, you know, I had all different types of businesses. I mean, I was doing this business, that business, all type of things I was doing. And even in doing that, I found myself just, you know, I experienced some pain in my life. And let me tell you what the pain I experienced in my life. I was a mother. I was a teen mom, got pregnant at 19, first year of college. You know, it's like, you know, we graduate from high school, we go to college, and, you know, there it is. You know, I became a mom, and what that did when I became a mom at 19, that really it just really made me go into survival mode. How many of you can relate to that? Just, I mean, my whole focus was about taking care of me, taking care of my daughter, you know, but then Prince Charming came along. He swept me off my feet. You know, I got married. I figured, oh, wow, this is great. So now I can focus on just being a wife and a mom. I don't have to grind as hard. But you know what? Then life happened. How many of you can relate to just life happening? Life happening where all of my dreams that I thought that had come true suddenly came to a halt. Okay? Because I found myself with someone who he didn't think like I thought. We didn't have the same visions. We began to grow apart. Okay, we just couldn't even relate the same. So I then found myself in the middle of a divorce. Okay, and after that divorce, you know, I mean, it was just very devastating. Being a homeowner, having all this to go to just, it was like starting all over. So then I found myself, I went back into hustle mode. How many of you can relate to that, going back into that same, you know, hustle mode? So I went back into that survivor mode. I started working long hours. I got different certifications, became a financial advisor at Prudential. Started working some hours from 8 in the morning, 9 to 12-hour shifts, things like that. I mean, it just really, I tell you, I was basically, I'm sure you all heard the phrase, I was basically working myself to death. How many of you can relate to that, working yourself to death? Well, that was me. I mean, there was no time. I was just about straight business, no time for social life. It was all about making that money so I could maintain that same lifestyle that I was accustomed to. And you know what? Trying to do that survivor, you know, mode type of lifestyle, it really let me understand that there's other things that are so much more important, you know, because after experiencing that pain and so busy working all those hours, when I told you that, I worked myself to death, I literally did. I worked myself so hard where I almost lost my life 4 times. You know, you hear more about that in my book. But, you know, I just got so caught up in trying to be something so much to everybody else, and I forgot about myself. I forgot about my own personal needs and things like that. But it was, but the time that was the turning point in my life was when I got sick. That showed me what's most important in my life. It showed me that there's nothing more important than our relationship with God. Because out of all the stages of my life I share with you tonight here, it was God that was with me every single time. It was Him that became my hope, my peace, my strength, my joy through all of it, through the ups and downs of all my life. God was the constant force. Okay? And that's what led me to write my book, FaceTime, My Encounter with Him. Because there's nothing like having that FaceTime encounter with God where He shows you who you are. And shows you your strengths, your weaknesses, and all of that. And you have to have an up close encounter and face yourself. How many of you have ever taken the time to just face you? You know, it's so easy. We look at this and that, but sometimes we have to face ourselves. Okay? Well, you know what? That's enough about me this evening. But I'm gonna tell you what the main thing that got me through is the fact that I am a worshiper. Okay? Now I don't know what level each of you here this evening worship on, whether it's meditation, whether it's this quiet time, whether it's reading the Bible, listening to music. But you know what? Whatever level that is, there is nothing like worship. Because truly, when you worship and just really get in God's presence, there is nothing but fullness of joy. Everything you need, everything you think that you need or think you want, you'll find it in His presence. So I just encourage you, in the midst of, I know everybody here, you want to be successful, you want to do this, you want to make so many dollars, you want to do so much in 2018, but you know what? It starts with worship. It starts with worship. It starts with getting in God's face, and everything that you need, whether you want to be the greatest businesswoman, you can find that, but you have to have balance. And you'll find that balance in FaceTime with Him. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, great job. Yeah. That felt better, right?
It felt a little better.
Yeah. See, you started.
I'm not totally confident, but
No, but I mean that's perfect because you didn't have to go back to the board. The reason I told you to keep going is because you were on a roll and you had moved. You went down through here, then you went on over to the story, then you was owning it better, and then you went on over. I was like, no, you might as well keep going instead of stopping. There's a couple key areas that you can go, and as you massage it, you'll get more and more freedom in it because there's a structure to where you could go in deeper. And like, say for instance, when the ladies, when you tell them, like, how many of you ever met a Prince Charming? Like people, so I call it the wheel of emotion, where a person laughs, they resonate, sadden for a second, or cry, right? Or even sometimes anger, frustration, by the time they get done with the whole story. They done felt it. So it was like a couple points that as you're practicing more, you could bring out even further. Like, he said, like, when he was 19, what did it look like when you met the Prince Charming? Like, girl, y'all know exactly what I mean. He was fine, he was this, girl, he had 6 figures. Y'all know what I did. I married that man, right? Can y'all feel me on that? Right? And so they like, well, yeah, girl, 19, I'm 21. I'm at the church, so you got to kind of.
10 years older than me, too.
10 years older to me, old school, silver beard, whatever, I don't know. But, but at the end of the day, he was older, boom, boom, boom. I married him. You hear me? Well, girl, how many times, you can be disappointed, right? So let me tell you, not just disappointed, ladies, I got crushed. My heart went out to this man. I didn't know any better. I just knew what I thought I needed in survival. Boom, boom, boom. And then you go into you unpack it even more. Let them feel more in that space because they got to feel it.
Yeah, because I didn't know how far to go in. Okay.
Well, just a little hints around what that moment felt like. I didn't just get married. I got married to a man to make me feel all the connection. They can feel the connection. Then, you don't have to unpack single mom because That, it's not the impact of the story was him, he's one. And then the other impact is when you worked really hard, that you worked yourself to death. That's the second impact area. And then the third impact area is worship. And it'll be on the video, but you can write it on there too.
But pretty much the worked myself to death.
Well, before that was the marriage. The husband was one. Two was the bankruptcy. You got to say the bankruptcy, because that's another impact moment. And then you come up to the, what do you mean by work yourself to death? And you want to say, I worked at Noni. They call me the Noni lady. I was working financial services at Dollar Bank. I was working over here. I was working Prudential. I'm putting it in, whatever ones you want to utilize, but don't just say this and that. Actually give them actual places.
Okay. Where I worked myself to death.
Yes. Sundown, no. I'm talking about 8 in the morning to 9:30 at night, 5-6 days a week. I was on it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I was doing pro travel and money at the same time.
There you go.
And working a job.
There you go. So you want to drive all of that so they can get it like, oh no, you really was working yourself to death. You had 3 jobs, made up of these places, and
I thought I was doing something because I was breaking all the records. I was winning all the free trips to Las Vegas,
say
to
all
LA,
that,
all that stuff.
add a few of those in.
Hotels,
I'm doing it, lady. I'm doing, but and I literally worked myself to death. No, ladies, I really mean I worked myself to death. In this picture here, the after picture up or not, it's like it'll show you in my book that I actually almost died 4 times. And I'll put the number 4 up, just like this. 1,
right.
kidney. 2, blood transfusion. 3, stroke, or 2 stroke. 3, blood transfusion. 4,
lupus complications, because it was just so much to it.
bam, bam, bam. All in all, what I learned, and this is where you go from that, right at the bottom, when you done with those 4, you're on your way over to victory. Because that's the bottom they can get to, like, oh, shoot. Now they down there now. Oh, this is horrible. All in all, once you get done with that 4th finger, worship. And it almost can be done like this. 1, blood transfusion. First one was kidney. No, it wasn't.
It was kidney for renal failure.
Kidney, blood transfusion, stroke, lupus complications. When you're done, it's like this. I will still keep that fist up. But my worship was there all along. See, what I didn't tell you, ladies, is that all along, I was always a businesswoman, but I was always a worshiper. It's just my worship wasn't as strong as my business side. And in FaceTime, I talked to you about how I brought them together and how I live my life different today. How worship was the leading way. And the worship is saying God, right? So if you say worship more, it resonates with more people, because they know what worship is. But then worshiping and getting in FaceTime, when you end up talking about in my encounter with God, bam, right? So you can tie those 2 together, but I really want you to hit that worship strong, because people can worship. They can worship quicker. Like worship in your, everyone will worship different, right? So how I worship, and a lot of times, of course in my prayer, and sometimes you worship in your peace, and sometimes you worship in singing. Sometimes I would have songs when I was going through everything I was going through. When I was sitting there in my what I thought was my deathbed, songs would be moving through my head because I've always been a singer. And then I worship through my voice and God, gift or whatever. And then the song comes on. It's like, and that's when you turn around and hit that moment. And then you said. And it was that in which I was called to FaceTime. A book that would take you through a journey of how my life was back on track by having the single most positive relationship that you can ever have, no matter what man, no matter what circumstance, no matter what situation, was my worship and my spirit and my connection with God. Some of you putting you using your FaceTime with the wrong relationship, with the wrong friend. You got to really unpack FaceTime. Like, because you're talking about the phone and the FaceTime you're playing on it, it's a good play. You got to unpack it a little bit. Get off there and click them off now and click on your FaceTime with God. If you got with God like you get with your friends on FaceTime, spend that same amount of time per day, then your worship would be active. Whatever, you know. And then that's what you say. Then that's what you kind of talk about. In my story, I talk about that and I talk about this or whatever you say. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, I'm a businesswoman. You go back to the beginning. But also I'm a worshiper. And I'm encouraging you today to activate your worship with your business. It will help you balance. Everybody say it with me. Worship, worship. Business,
Right.
business equals balance, balance. My name is Lisa Tyler, the businesswoman. Thank you. And then bam.
I love that. Worship plus business equals balance.
Yep.
What do you say? You said something about activate, how your worship will activate the, I like that.
Your balance.
Yep.
Yep, your worship will activate your balance. So you will be able to have this to be able to, let's see how many minutes.
So I should show up tomorrow more. Are we having it tomorrow? Are we tomorrow? Or are we the next?